Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we're covering onboarding, getting started in WEX FSM. This webinar will cover the onboarding terminology you may hear during onboarding, your onboarding timelines. You can get a general sense of the steps that occur during onboarding, your data loads if you're loading data, where to access your training in the Help Center, account setup with adding users and dispatch groups so you can start scheduling, and how to contact customer care if you have any questions. We'll do a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's dive into the onboarding terminology. So I just like to point out a couple terms that we use that are sort of, WEX FSM based. And when we say onboarding, that is the period of time from when you sign up to your official switch to using WEX FSM as your main software. You may be coming from a previous software, maybe you were paper and pen for a long time, whatever your previous way of doing things was. Onboarding is the time from when you sign up, which you'll still use your old software until you train, get your account set up, and then you make the switch, which that is a term that we use. Make the switch is the date that you will stop using your old software and start using WEX FSM as your main field service software. And we'll dive into that in just a little bit, dive into that more in just a little bit. Initial data load. So if you're loading data, let's say you have another system with customers, invoices, and payments, things like that, we will load that into your system. So you have your customer history record and you can hit the ground running when you make the switch. That load typically takes between 5 to 7 business days after sign up. That will load the bulk of your data up to the day that you signed up and submitted all your data. Now, after you submit that initial data load, there will be a period of time that will essentially be the onboarding period where you're still using your previous software while you're getting your WEX FSM account set up. And then we'll do a supplemental data load at the end right before or right when you make the switch that will load the rest of your data that we didn't capture from the initial load. So you have a full system of record. And then Help Center. When we say Help Center, that's the little smiley face guy in the bottom right of your system. And that is where you will find your training resources, access to contacting customer care, and where to sign up for future webinars. Now let's talk timeline. So the first thing to know is that the timeline is completely up to you. The amount of time that it will take could be very quick. It could be if you do not have any data to load and you're just starting with the system from scratch. You could start on day one. You could just start using the system because we don't have to worry about any type of data loads that are happening. But if you do have data, that will extend the timeline just a little bit because we do need to get your data loaded. But I always like to show this as a visual reference of the general timeline of onboarding, which would be you sign up. You are now officially signed up. You have a subscription to WEX FSM. And it's important to know that your site, when you log in on day one, is a live site. Technically, you can take a payment if you wanted to. But if you're loading data, you would want to wait until your customers are in there so you can use them to do your job. And it looks like someone is joining. Hello and welcome, Roseanne. We have just gotten started here, but just to let you know, we are recording today's session, so you will be able to watch a replay of this. I'll show you where to find that at the end, but welcome, Roseanne. So the initial data load, as we mentioned, is loading your initial data, that would be your customers, invoices, and payments. That initial data load will typically take between 5 to 7 business days. And during that time, that is when you will be setting up your account, doing your training. And we have a ton of training resources for you, which we'll look at in just a little bit. Then you will make the switch, and that's nice and big and red because that is a landmark day that you will stop using your previous software and start using WEX FSM as your main software. You will enter your customers, invoices, and payments into WEX FSM first, and then that will sync down to QuickBooks. And then your supplemental data load on make the switch day, you will submit your data again. And that is your supplemental data load. That will capture everything that we may have missed after your initial data. So you have a full system of record in your system. And then onboarding is complete once the data team has finished the supplemental data load, and they will message you. They'll send a message that says the initial data load is, or sorry, your data load is complete and the sync has been turned on. Now, on make the switch day, we have a couple more details we're going to go over, but first, let me show you your first resource. This is the first place that you should go to when you log into your system and you're wanting to start onboarding. So let me switch my share. Okay, so that was a general overview of the timeline, but you log into your system, you're new, and you're not really sure where to go. You know, what do I look at? Where's my training? How do I know what to do in this software? We've made it easy for you. You will go right here to the Getting Started button. And you just hover over that button and you get a little info here. Welcome to WEX FSM. Curious where to start? We have you covered. We have an onboarding getting started article, and that is your first stop, your first destination to onboarding and knowing exactly what to do and where to go. And it also lets you know that customer support can be reached from the Help Center, which is this little smiley face guy down below here. Contact support is right there if you do have questions or need help along the way. And then our hours of operation for support is Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's get started. Let's get into this article. You'll just click on this link and it will open the Getting Started article. We greet you with a welcome video that does walk you around the site a little bit. So a little initial training right here. The terminology that we went over is right here for a reminder. And then data loads and how your data loads will work, a little more detail on the initial data load, what happens between loads, your supplemental data load, and then the Help Center. And so the Help Center, this is something that you should be referencing often because this is going to have your main tab, which right here, let's open up the Help Center, a little smiley face guy in the bottom right, and your home tab that is going to allow you to contact support. Search for help comes in very handy. If you want to just search for something, maybe you want to learn more about maintenance plans. Type in your key terms and all of our knowledge articles will show up here. So you can get a little customized there. Also, welcome, Michelle. We have gotten started here, so you will be able to watch a replay of this. We will post the recording afterwards. I'll show you where to find that so you can catch what you may have missed. But welcome, Michelle. So this is just nice because you search for what you want and it will pull up all of our learning articles for that. And then from here, you can also find a couple quick actions, video courses and webinars, all about email marketing. And then we have the help question mark. This is the same as before. You can just search here and that will search knowledge articles for you. If you're interested in the going ons of WEX FSM, you can go to news, which typically we're talking about new enhancements, updates to the product, and things like that. And then tasks. Now, this is the spot to go for training. This is going to be personalized training for you while you're in onboarding. Each user in your system has their own training, and that training will track your progress as you go through these learning activities. Now, this, we have a suggestion of the order that you should complete these in. And these are simply checklists that you will want to complete during onboarding. And if you follow everything that is in here, then you should be fully prepared to make the switch and hit the ground running with your system. So initial setup, that is going to be right here, initial setup. And this will teach you how to add your users, assign dispatch groups, review admin settings. I do recommend that you click into each of these links because these are the admin pages that you'll set up your preferences. And then when you're done, you will complete this course and you will see your progress through here. So when I come back, I can see, oh, I already finished this one. Let me go to the next one. Next, we recommend learn the basics, and that is here. And this will help you navigate through your system, learn about appointments. This does link you out to a full video of Office Basics teaching you how to use the system. How to run a job from the field. This will send you to a video of our mobile app training. And then payments and insights. Again, payment basics. That is a video to teach you how payments work. Then QuickBooks Sync. If you are syncing to QuickBooks, you will have a sync training here. If you're not syncing in QuickBooks, you won't even have this, so it won't get in the way for you. But for my QuickBooks syncers, click into that. And you will have a QuickBooks training based on the version of QuickBooks you have. So if you have QuickBooks Desktop, this will be a QuickBooks Desktop training. If you have QuickBooks Online, this will be a QuickBooks Online training. Something important to know for QuickBooks Desktop is that it does require the sync tool for you to be able to sync. So an action item for you, if you are QuickBooks Desktop, is you will need to click this link and schedule a sync tool install meeting. That meeting is very simple. You show up to the meeting, make sure you have your admin credentials for both WEX FSM and QuickBooks, and that you're attending on the computer that has your QuickBooks file. Then just show up. Our team will download the app for you and show you how to use the sync tool. For QuickBooks Online, there's no sync tool required. You don't have to do an install. Everything just syncs via the cloud, so you won't have one of these modules. Then we have what is sync? How does it work? A very nice video to watch there. And then a breakdown of customer sync, invoice sync, payment syncing, your accounting and taxes information. How do you stop something from syncing? And how do you run a sync? That is your sync training. Then we have make the switch. And this is going to talk about when do you stop using your old software? Double check your settings and users. If you want to use card readers, your technicians out in the field, they want to take payment, they can just swipe a card. You can order card readers from here. Reminder to download the mobile app for you and your team so you're ready to go. How to transfer your appointments from your previous system, and then just a data load review. And then finally is daily to-dos. These are suggestions of what to do after you make the switch. And that would be right here, daily to-dos. Your day-to-day, you'll probably want to be reviewing your job flags with the flag for follow-up features so you can keep track of follow-ups. You'll want to close deals with the proposals report, which will allow you to see jobs and your win-loss ratio. Check your cash flow. You'll most likely want to check your receivables report so you can see the money that's coming in. And you can also send out payment reminders from the receivables report. If you have a maintenance plan program, you'll want to fulfill your maintenance commitments by looking at the maintenance scheduling report, maintenance plan customer report, and the maintenance plan list. And then Sync Hub. This is just a reminder of the pages that will show you the sync statuses of your data. So remember, customers, invoices, and payments are the main sync items. And each of these pages will give you a auto sync status. So it'll say whether or not an item has synced. And if it doesn't, you can troubleshoot on those pages. All right. So that is the main training. As long as you go through all of these, you'll be able to set up, do your initial setup of your system, learn the basics to get around the site and what things to set up on the back end, knowledge about your QuickBooks sync, knowledge around making the switch, and then reminders for things to do after you've made the switch and you're fully using WEX FSM. Also, in addition to the Help Center articles, we have live webinars, which you are attending right now. So you found your way here, but to view this, you will go to the Help Center, the Home tab, and Video Courses and Webinars. And this is exactly what it says. You can sign up for live webinars by clicking on the calendar here and registering. Video courses, we have a ton of video courses, and these will help you do certain things. You may want to set up your price book, build and manage price book. Maybe you want to make sure you're really solid on taking payments. Payments would be a good one. If you want to offer financing, multi-lender financing, have a maintenance plan program, maintenance plan. So a lot of these are really great. Not everyone does maintenance plans. So maybe if you don't have a maintenance plan program, you don't need to watch this video. So I would just watch what pertains to what you want to do in the system. And then past webinars, these are our webinar recordings. We do record all of our sessions. In fact, today, onboarding, getting started in WEX FSM is right here. So you'll be able to watch a replay. And I always upload the newest versions. So these are always the most up to date. All right. Also, just as a pro tip, any of these articles, uh, you're reading the article in this little like window, but if you want to view it bigger, all of our articles in this Help Center, you can open in a new tab. So if I click on this, it opens the actual embedded article. So now I can bookmark this if I want. So any of those little articles you're reading in there, open in a new tab, and you have it as a full web page that you can now bookmark. And maybe while you're in onboarding, you can even make a like WEX FSM training folder, a bookmarks folder, and bookmark all of your training articles that you enjoy. All right. Now let's talk about we're actually going to go into the system. I believe we already talked about this. So these are just details, if you're coming back to this, about some of those learning modules. Initial setup, learn the basics, and preparing to make the switch. But we want to go over, oh, you know what? I have one final part of just like timeline and setup, and then we'll dive into the system and I'll show you how to add users, set up your dispatch groups, and we'll do those together. But we talked about the timeline, and there are some details for the make the switch day. And let's take a look at the make the switch article, which, as you're reading this, when you get to here, preparing to make the switch, this is the article that I'm opening, the make the switch article. And so make the switch. It's a very important day. Again, that is the day that you will stop using your previous software and start using WEX FSM as your main software. And this just talks about what is going to go down on Make the Switch Day. And basically what will happen is on Make the Switch Day, you're going to log into your system and you will see a pop-up. That pop-up will say, congratulations, it's Make the Switch Day. Have you made the switch? Yes or no, or I need help. If you have not made the switch, you need more time, you can just say, there's a button, no, I need more time, and you can reschedule your Make the Switch Day. If you did make the switch, which that is what should be happening according to plan, you will just say, yes, I've made the switch. You'll submit your supplemental data load, which is the rest of your data, and then you will start using the system. And while you're using the new system, we'll be loading your supplemental data. The sync will be off during that time. So just know there will be a couple days, usually 3 to 5 business days, for that supplemental data to load. And while that's loading, you're going to be entering everything into WEX FSM. That's going to save in WEX FSM until the supplemental data load is complete, and the data team will turn on the sync, and that is when the first official sync will happen. All right, let's now dive into the system. And so log in to wexfsm.com and let's start doing some stuff. So you log in, you've watched a couple training videos and you're ready to start playing around in this thing. What I would recommend doing, number one, is adding your users. So to do this, you will go to Settings, User Management, Users. It's good to get your team in here. That way you can go ahead and get everything set up, get their permissions set up, and then you can hand out their login credentials. To add a user, you will click Add User. And you just fill out the information. Now, most of this is self-explanatory, but I will point out a few things. You can upload a picture. As long as you upload a picture here, if you add a tech image to your notifications, this is the picture that will show up. Your username and password that this user will use to log in is set up right here. You put an email and a password. That's what you want to send to them so they can log in. Labor cost per hour, I would recommend putting in for anyone who's going to be doing time on the jobs. And this will factor it. This is asking, how much does it cost you to pay this user for 1 hour of their time? Enter that here, and then when they go out on the job, they'll clock in, they'll do the job, they'll mark it as complete, which will clock out, and that will factor in the labor cost on the job. So your profit and loss reporting is correct. You can assign a user to a group, and we'll go over groups in just a second, but this is a quick access to do that from here. And permissions. So an admin account, it has full access to everything. An office user has the same as an admin, full access to everything, but you can come in and change their permissions to hide certain things. And then a field technician does not have access to the desktop version of WEX FSM. They only have access to the mobile app, which means they won't have reporting tab visibility or settings tab visibility. And then you can adjust their permissions further based on what you want them to do and what you don't want them to do. Big one here is the job P&L. You know, if this is a field tech, do you want your field tech to see the revenue on the job they're working on? If the answer is yes, that's great. If it's no, you just set this to no, and it will hide the job P&L from this user. When you're done, click Save, and that will save your user. All right, so that is just a brief overview of adding users. Next, let's set up your dispatch groups. To do this, you will go to Settings, User Management, Dispatch Groups. Now, what is a dispatch group? So in your system, and we'll just go back to the schedule page real quick here for an example. When you're scheduling, you have your dispatch board. So I can see Dustin, Caleb, Bruce, these are my technicians, and this would be their calendar for the day. And maybe I want to look at my office crew and separate those out. You can click the drop down right here, and these are different groups that I've set up to organize my team. If I want to see what's going on in the office, I can go to the office group. If I want to see what's going on out in the field, I'll go to my field group. Maybe you have a HVAC side of the business and a plumbing side of the business, and you want to separate the technicians for both. Whatever it is, you can separate your your users here and put them into different groups for viewing on the schedule page. Now, going back to settings, user management, dispatch groups. This is where you set up your dispatch groups. Hit add dispatch group, put in the name of the group, enter who you want in the group, and then hit save. That will save the group into your list, and it then will be available as a viewable option on the schedule page. If you want to make an edit, click the three dots, and you can edit the group or delete the group completely. All right, so that is dispatch groups. And let me go back to here. I think there's a section that talks about what not to do. I thought it was in here. Okay. Well, I will just mention it for you. So during onboarding, while your data is being loaded, it is always good practice to not alter any of the data that you see in your system. Uh, we don't want to change anything in the system because then the data load will come in and probably overwrite the changes you've made. So in terms of your customers, invoices, and payments, let the data load do its thing, and I wouldn't make any edits or adjustments in WEX FSM during your onboarding time before making the switch. After you make the switch, you're using the system fully, so no restrictions there. But while your data is loading, we do recommend that you keep your edits to a very minimum if you are going to make any. And then also, if you do see any incorrect information or incorrect data or something has loaded and you think, it looks wrong, let our data team know as soon as possible. And maybe they can make an adjustment in the supplemental data load to fix whatever you may have seen. Okay, so those are some reminders there. And then next, and this will actually be I have two more things, example customer and subscriptions. Now, I just said, don't mess with any real customers. We're loading your data while you are training in the system, and it's good practice not to update existing customers. However, we have put in an example customer for you to use. Up in the customer search here, I'm just searching the word example. You can do this too. And you should see, as long as you haven't deleted them, you should see the example customer right here. And this is the account that you can use to do whatever you want in the system because it's not a real customer. You can even come into here. Actually, a pro tip for doing this is you can change the phone number and the email to your phone number and email. And then as you're doing stuff in the system, you'll see what your customer will see. And that's always a great perspective. So kind of a way to practice in the system would be go to the help center, go to your training. Let's say I want to do initial setup and I want to learn how to, add users. Watch the video. And then, well, I guess add users would not be. Well, if you're, let's say, learning how to create an appointment, use the example customer. You can go to the schedule page. If I want to create a new appointment and I just want to play around, I'm going to go to new. And then right here, let's use the example customer while we're training and testing things out. And now this is saying I'm creating a new appointment for my example customer. And now you're off to the races. This is a new job. Let's say this is a no AC call. I have my, let's go out there today from noon to 1. Let's assign my technician Dustin. Let's get him some help and have Rick go out there too. Let's send him a little reminder. Don't forget to bring the 12-foot ladder. And then put your notes in. Don't forget to sell a maintenance plan. And we'll send them some reminders and hit schedule. And there we go. We've created an appointment with our example customer. If I hover over the appointment, we can see details of the appointment. I can go into the job by clicking on the job number. And I can come in if I want to play around with making proposals. I can create a new proposal. I can create invoices. And the biggest thing is just really play around. Use the system. Figure out the things that you have questions about and ask those questions to customer care or show up to a live training webinar and ask me in the Q&A. We're genuinely here to help you learn the system. And just as a recap, you're going to leave this call and you'll say to yourself, all right, well, what do I do now? The first thing, log into your system, go to getting started. That is your central point for knowing what to do in onboarding. Read this, use the help center, look at video courses and webinars to come to live trainings, watch video tutorials, or watch replays of webinars, and use the example customer while you train in the system. Okay, that is all of our information for today's session. I do hope you learned something. We're going to go to our Q&A now, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Onboarding Getting Started in WEX FSM.